Welcome to Tech Talk Tuesday. This is a new video segment that we're adding to the channel every week. I decided that if 2 videos was good, 3 is going to be even better. So these videos are going to be more of a technical nature, and let's go ahead and dive into today's topic. So for the first Tech Talk Tuesday, we're going to discuss HID headlights, specifically on the Dodge Charger and Dodge Challenger from 2015 to current production. Now, the topics of discussion today could apply to other Dodge products. It might even expand beyond that, but we're going to go specifically into the Charger and Challenger because that's what I know exactly what these are applying to. So my wife's 2016 Charger came with HID headlights, and for those of you who aren't aware, those are the ones that are really bright. And we figured it'd be a great option to have because being able to see better at night is always a great thing. And of course, though, that turns out there's more complexity in the light system than with your standard halogens. And namely, they end up with extra relays and ballasts and fancy bulbs and all kinds of things. And when it comes time to diagnose issues with your headlights, there are a lot more things to check. And that's what we're going to talk about here. So while today's topic may cover a variety of cars beyond the scope of the 2015 to present Chargers and Challengers, we're going to focus specifically on those because that's what I've got the most experience with learning from my wife's 2016 Charger here recently. And that is when it comes to diagnosing when they start acting up. So we started noticing that periodically either the left or the right headlight on my wife's Charger would go out intermittently and then it would come back on. And then the real scary situation is once in a while it actually both of them went out and then there were no lights other than just the fog light and the running ring light, which didn't produce much light at all. Which when you're in a city is not too big of an issue, but when you live out in the country like we do and there's not any real lights out at night, that becomes a real problem. So of course when it first started happening, I gave the dealership a call and they'd had a situation where a Durango came in and same problem and they replaced the bulbs and that fixed the problem. So I started there. And it turns out the factory Mopar HID bulbs are about $300 a piece from the dealer. And I was like, that's just insane. I'm not going to pay that. So I went online. And Rock Auto had the Mopar OEM ones for about $170 a piece, I believe it was, which is definitely a lot better than the $300 a piece. But it still was really expensive for headlight bulbs. So of course, while I'm on Rock Auto, I'm checking out the other brands, and they had Hella brand bulbs at $50 a piece. And I was like, all right, Hella makes quality products. That should go ahead and work. So I ordered a pair of those, put those in, and it didn't solve the problem. So now I'm like, great, it's probably the ballast, because everything I'm reading online says if it's not the bulb, it's the ballast. And in fact, most of the time, the ballast is the problem. So I go to look to replace the Mopar ballast. Turns out you can't just buy the ballast by itself. You have to buy the entire headlight assembly, which is $1,000 a piece. And I was like, there's no way on this planet I'm going to spend $2,000 to replace the headlights assemblies on this car when just the little ballast is all that's bad. So I start searching to see if there are replacement ballasts available from the aftermarket, and so far, as of making this video, I haven't been able to find an aftermarket ballast that's available that I trust the quality of it to put in the car. And so then, of course, the next option is look at used ones, which you can buy used ones for about $50 to $70 a piece on eBay, but then, of course, you don't know how long those are going to last. Well, it turns out, luckily in our case, the ballast actually wasn't the problem. It was something I had never seen before. I mean, I've seen a variety of electrical issues with cars, but this was a new one on me. And it turns out that on these cars, the HIDs pull such a large amount of current that it's enough to heat up the fuses, but not actually blow the fuses. And they're 20 amp fuses. There are 2 of them which is under the hood on the Charger, and 1 for each side. And they actually get so hot that they start to cook, and the fuses on her car were black. And talking to the guys at the dealership, what happens is over time that with the heating and cooling, they end up building a resistance, and when that resistance gets too high, then the headlights stop working because they can't pull a current that's strong enough to ignite the HID bulb. Once the fuse cools off, the current can flow again, and the lights come on. Hence the intermittent issue. And then of course, as time progresses and the situation gets worse and worse on the fuses, it happens more frequently. So the lesson of the day is always check with the simple stuff first and work your way up to the expensive stuff. So in the case of the Mopar HID headlights, or even any HID headlights, probably it's going to be a similar situation, is always start with your fuses first, see how those are, because those are usually only like a buck or two to get some new replacement fuses. From there, if the fuses look okay, check the relays. Relays are usually like 15, 20 bucks a piece. And then from there, go to the HID bulbs themselves, and last, check the ballast, because you really don't want to have a $2,000 bill when it really could have only been a couple dollar fuse. Plus the added headache of dismantling the entire front end of the car in order to get to the headlight assembly to remove it from the car. If you liked today's story, go ahead and hit that like button, and as we want to see more of my videos, make sure you're kept up to date when I update new stuff, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below and ring that notification bell, and I will see you at the next video.